Today's target will be using the curve of best fit equation. In the previous video, we went over how to find the curve of best fit equation using the calculator. Make sure you've watched that first, or you understand how to find the curve of best fit using a TI calculator. What we're going to do today is we're going to use this curve of best fit to solve for missing values. You'll notice there on the right, we've got the quadratic regression already loaded up. We got this from the previous video, so once again, I'll repeat. If you've not watched the video, you don't understand how we got that, you need to go back and do that now before you continue on with today's video. Here's our data. This is what we plugged into the calculator. That's how we got this equation. So we know y equals negative 8.29 x squared plus 31.5 x plus 125.2. And then in the first question here, we're asked how high was the object after 6 seconds. So when you're asked these questions, you have to identify first what are they giving you and what are they asking for. If we go back to our table for a second, the first column, remember, we put into L1, the second was L2. Another way to look at this, and what we have to remember, is that the first column or row or points represent your x values. The second represents your y values. So here we're asked how high was the object after 6 seconds. So we're given an x value here, and we're asked to find the y value. This is an easy scenario because we can use our equation and just substitute our x value in. Oops, that's not a decimal, that's 125. And see what that equals. So when I went to my calculator, I just plugged in exactly what I wrote there, evaluated it using the calculator, and I found out that the object will be 15.76 feet high after 6 seconds. So to recap real quick, when you're given an x value and asked to find the y value, you simply plug the x value into the curve of best fit that you've already found. That's the easy question. The harder question is what we have here. At what time was the object 100 feet above the ground? At what time means we're looking for the x value. We're given a y, we don't have an x. So with our equation, we know that y is equal to 10. We also know that y is equal negative 8.29 x squared plus 31.5 x plus 125.2. So if we were to plug 10 in for y and try to solve for x, it would be very, very difficult to do. Something I don't expect anybody in algebra to be able to complete. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the abilities of our graphing calculator to help us solve this. So there's a couple things we have to do before we can get to that point. First thing we have to do is actually graph our equation of best fit. So let's walk through the steps on how to do that. Gotta deal with me here, my board is very uncalibrated, making it difficult to write. So to graph the equation of best fit, first thing you're going to do is go to y equals. So we go to y equals. Notice where the cursor is. We want to make sure that we clear out that equation, and we want to highlight plot 1. So we're going to go y equals, we're going to highlight plot 1. So we simply do that by going up where it's blinking. I'm going to press enter. Notice where the cursor is down there in the bottom right. So now that when I arrow down, plot 1 is highlighted. So that's step 1. Now in step 2, we want to put our equation into y1. So to do that, you can either type in your equation, so you can physically go in and type in what we found in the previous step, or the calculator stores it. So to get the stored equation, you would go to vars. So that's right there. That's where the cursor is, just below those gray arrow buttons. So we're going to go to vars. Option number 5 is statistics. Remember that everything we did was in the stat menu, so we're going to choose statistics. So select statistics, and I want to go over to equations. EQ is short for equations. So I'm going to go over to EQ, and I'm going to select the first option, which is just regression equation. So option number 1. I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And there my equation pops up. Okay? The last thing we have to do in order to see our equation is we want to press zoom and choose option number 9, which is zoom stat. So zoom, arrow down to zoom stat, hit enter, and voila, there we go. All right, so that's the first part we have to do. Now, I know this seems like a lot of steps, but I promise you this is easier than trying to solve for x by hand. So now that you've graphed, our next objective is to actually solve for y, or solve for x, sorry. Okay. Our first thing, we're going to go back to y equals. And then in y2, we're going to plug in the y value that we were given. So let me backtrack. So we were asked to find it at 100. I'm not sure why I wrote 10 there. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. What time was the object 100 feet above the ground? So I need to plug that value into y2. So I'm going to plug 100 into y2. Go ahead and graph it. Our answer is going to be at the intersection point right here. To find the intersection, you have to press second, and then press trace. So notice above the trace button, in little blue letters, it says calc. So we want to press second and trace to get to the calc menu. And I told you that our answer was at that intersection point. So we're going to choose option number 5, intersect. Once we do that, oh, my bad. Let me backtrack for a second, back to calc. Option number 5, I accidentally selected option number 1. So now that looks better. So choose option number 5, intersect, and it'll say first curve. We're simply going to hit enter. It'll say second curve, and we hit enter again, and it'll say guess, and we hit enter one more time, and it will tell us the intersection point. So after you choose intersect, you're going to hit enter 3 more times, and it will give you the answer. So our intersection happens right there. So we know we were looking for that y value. There's our answer. So using the calculator, we found out that the object is 100 feet above the ground at 4.5 seconds. There we go, right at 10 minutes. Perfect timing. All right, so if you need to go back, rewatch the video if you need to copy down those steps. Make sure you have those steps when you come into class next time. We will be practicing this. I'll let you grab your calculators, get some practice problems in. Once you practice these steps a few times, it should be very easy to remember them. I know it seems like a lot the first time, but once you get some practice with it, it becomes a lot easier. As always, if you have any questions or any steps that I went over too fast or you're unsure about, make sure you make a note, and I'll be more than happy to clarify any of that when you come into class next time.